All she did on the way in here was tell me about you. The Republicans may have a vaunted voter identification and pull-out operation, but it's not as good as ours.
That's right.
You can't imagine what these people are doing, how many calls they make every day, how many houses they visit every weekend. You can't imagine. Here's what I want to say to you. Don't give up on anybody. Don't give up on independents who say they don't vote or don't vote for Democrats. Don't even give up on Republicans who say they've never voted for a Democrat before.
They will.
They know better than this special interest, ideological, divisive, gridlock politics to which they have been subject. I've never seen anything like it. You know, the number of lobbyists has doubled in Washington just since I left office. And there's a reason for that. You invest in a lobbyist when you expect a good return on investment, and they have gotten a marvelous return. We're still missing $9 billion in Iraq. It vanished. And there's been no congressional investigation into it to amount to the LBs because nobody wants to know what happened to that money. But you worked hard for that money. That was your money. And, you know, I saw the other day a little publicity up here about that trip with Mr. Abramoff to somewhere out in the Pacific. You remember that?
Yeah.
You have to forgive, I shouldn't say this to her, but in front of her, because I want every issue I can get. But it looks to me like we've got to forgive all the Republicans for Abramoff because they all have Abramoff amnesia. They just don't remember any of it. You know, the fellow that was their liaison in the White House has been indicted and maybe already convicted. I can't remember, but Karl Rove said that he was just a casual acquaintance of his. And then they released the records that showed he'd had 485 contacts with the White House. Now, it's Abramoff amnesia. I get it. He's a shy man, and you have to meet him 486 times before he knows you. So you can easily forget a long old trip to the Mariana. Now, we're laughing, but this is serious. This is very serious, and here's why. I'll say it again. Don't give up on anybody. Because the Democratic Party in this election year has become both the progressive and the mainstream conservative party of America. We, 85, and one issue says it all. 85% of the American people believe we ought to raise the minimum wage. We haven't done it in a decade. We've got a 40-year high in corporate profits with stagnant wages and rising poverty among working Americans. We haven't done it in a decade. They've raised their pay in the last 5 years 3 times and refuse to raise the minimum wage. They keep throwing money at me and refuse to raise the minimum wage. Why? Because there is no effective lobby for that. There's no money in that. The money in that goes to working people who needed to give lives of dignity to their children and pay the bills every week. It is a metaphor for what has been done. That's why, and the ideology is exemplified by all this stay the course rhetoric in Iraq. Don't bother me with the facts, I know what they are. Stay the course. Stop thinking. Be scared of the Democrats. Don't think and just give me your vote and stick in there. That's what ideologues do. You know, the first rule I was taught when I was a kid is if you find yourself in a hole, quit digging. If you are an ideologue and you find yourself in a hole, you ask for a bigger shovel. That's what they're doing. Don't give them a bigger shovel. Just remember, the American people get this. They're just trying to decide, can they go with us? All the people that haven't in the past. And if they know what Kirsten's background is, if they know about her commitment to fiscal responsibility, middle-class tax cuts, a strong security policy, a serious investment in 21st century jobs, and the most important thing we can do, by the way, for national security, for the environment, and for our economy, a commitment to energy independence, which will create millions. She is part of a movement around the country. We have 9 Iraq war veterans running for Congress as Democrats. A retired FBI agent, a retired CIA agent, a former pro football quarterback, a retired admiral who spent 31 years in the Navy, served me in the White House, commanded an aircraft carrier battle group with 15,000 sailors on 30 ships and 100 airplanes, running for the House as a Democrat. An old-fashioned Pennsylvania Catholic from a family of 8 kids, 7 of whom still live in his district. We never had such an array of people as this. In Kansas, there are 11 Republicans who switched parties to run as Democrats in a state President Bush carried 2-1 2 years ago. People know that it's time to put an end to this divisive, partisan, paralyzing, ideological politics and go back to people-based politics. Go back to a commitment to the common good. Go back to believing we can build a better future together. And that gives us this enormous opportunity and enormous responsibility. In Kirsten Gillibrand, you have a candidate in whom you can be very proud. You wouldn't be here today if you weren't really, really proud of her. What you have to do. But you have to realize all over America, all these districts previously held by Republicans, people, voters that aren't ready to give up what they believe in, but know that their representatives have abandoned what they believed in, are now trying to decide, can I just take that last step? This is scary for some of these folks. It's like when you were a kid, the first time you ever jumped off a diving board. And she's down there telling them, come on in, you're not going to drown, you're not going to drown. That's what's going on in the minds of millions across America, including a decisive percentage of the people who live in your congressional district. You got to go, grab them by the hand, look them in the eye, tell them what kind of person she is, tell them what kind of America we want to build, and jump off that diving board to victory. Thank you, and God bless you.